I love the Greetery's Pinwheel Party stencils, stamps, and die sets. Just yesterday, I made a whole bunch of birthday cards with these same exact products, and I will link the video below. And when I woke up this morning, I thought these would make amazing Christmas cards. So I used some Gina K Glitter Glitz, and I used all of the stencils and some of the stamps and dies from the Greetery stamp and die set and stencils. And let me show you what I did. So easy. So the very first thing that we're going to start with is the Greetery products. You can buy them in a bundle. There's the dies, as you can see here. There's some stencils, and a whole bunch of different stencils come in this pack. And there's also a matching stamp set, which I did not use. I used a different stamp set instead. Inside this stencils, there's 4 stencils here. I'm trying to show you. They're labeled A1, A2, B1, and B2. And they have horizontal and vertical lines, so you can line them up really, really easily. This is a mask that you can use when you're all finished. You can do a little ink blending. These are some masks that you can use when you want to cut out the individual pinwheels. There is just so much options out there. It's absolutely mind-boggling what you can do with these products. Today I'm using Concord & 9th inks. They're some of my favorites because they're a foam pad, not a felt pad. And they also have matching cardstock, so that worked out really, really well for what I was trying to accomplish with these Pinwheel Party Christmas cards. I used Gina K Glitter Glitz and Taylor Expressions blending brushes. I will link to the glitz that I used. I already cut out a whole bunch of die cuts, and now I want to stencil them. And I didn't really know how to do it in my previous video, so I went to Jennifer McGuire, who's the engineer among us, and she had this genius idea, so this is what I did. I cut out the pinwheels out of a piece of cardstock and taped it down and put a piece of tape behind it with a little bit of anti-static bag so that it gets rid of some of the stick. And I laid it all out on my desk, and now I'm placing the pinwheel on top with a piece of tape, and I'm using that as a hinge. So I can pop them in, I can pop them out. I did put a little anti-static on there, as I said, just so they're not so sticky. And this was a genius idea, and I love engineers. First I cleaned my brushes because previous project was some Distress Oxide inks, and I want to get that all out of there. And I'm a heavy-handed kind of person, so this first layer is a light hand, and I always have trouble with the light hand. So I wipe a little bit off on my glass media mat, and I'm just giving them, every single one of them, a little bit of color. It is just so genius and so easy. You can make so many. I think I made about 30 birthday cards, and I'm not sure. I think I made 7 or 8 Christmas cards. And I could have kept going. I just ran out of time. So I'm looking at that going, well, it's a little pink, so let's just go back a little bit heavier to get more of a red in there, more of a cranberry color. And then I call it my pokey tool. Just pop it out with your tool, and then you're going to pop in the next ones. And I'm going to show you a few in a slow motion, or regular motion, I should say. Then I'm going to speed it up. I'm not going to show you the whole process because to me, the genius behind the Christmas cards was the glitter glitz. Not that it was my genius. I just happened to think of putting it on pinwheels because Gina K's Glitter Glitz is amazing. Nuvo has a great glitter gel as well. So, and I will link everything in my blog post. You just have to head over, and it will have a link to all the supplies that I used. So there's my first layer. I like to make multiples, 6, 9, 12, just depending on how many I cut out. So now I'm turning them just one little turn, one little cog in the wheel, and I'm going to close it up. That one was 2. And now you'll see the pink is all covered, and the white is showing. Then you know you did it right. Just turn it one time, because you already have your stencil dirty, so you might as well do this part now. And now I'm going to go in with my heavy hand, my favorite. And I'm just going to just lay it on there. I'm not worried, just blending it in. Giving it and there you go. You've got some 2-tone pinwheels. Now I do love the white ones as well, but for these particular cards, I wanted the 2-tone pinwheels. So there's the red ones. And so I popped those out, and now what I did was I took my glitter glitz, and I have the dark showing through, the heavy-handed showing through. I just left it right in there, and now I'm covering it with some glitter glitz. Now the other ones I did, I got a little smarter because this is pretty messy, and I realized that what I need to do is I need to stamp everything first and then do all of my glitter glitz all at one time, so I'm not cleaning my stencils immediately after. And when you're done with glitter glitz or any gel medium, any medium like this, you need to wash your stencils and your tools and your mat immediately because it sticks crazily. Now, I wish you could see this in real life. It is very, very pretty. It dries even prettier because it dries almost a red translucent, if that makes any sense. You can kind of see through it. These are some of the cards that don't give it justice unless you see them up front, person I mean. So I cleaned it all off. Now I'm using the green, doing the exact same thing, popping them in, doing my light layer, and then I'll turn it, and then I'll do my dark layer. Heavy layer. And there they are. I did the same thing with the blue. I wised up a little bit. So now I have the Gina K Iridescent Glitz, and I have the blue. I just have white ones in here, and I'm just putting this on the white die cuts. So it's iridescent on top of white. It came out beautiful. I just wanted to mix some of the light blues, the aqua pool colors, with just a little bit of white on there. And I'm just holding it down, making sure it doesn't seep out the sides, scraping off all the excess, pulling it out. Sorry, my hair is just pokey, so it always gets in the way of videos. And setting it aside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the colored ones, so these are the blue ones, and I put the glitz on the blue side of the pinwheel. And then I made some green ones that were heavy-handed on both sides, and I put the glitz on one of the sides, and it looks really weird here, but it dries really cool. Actually, it dries almost gold. So I made a whole bunch of those, and then now I wanted to show you my trick for cutting slimline cards. I keep my cardstock the size that it needs to be. I cut it down to 9 inches, it's still 8.5, and I score at 4 1/4. And then I put it in my trimmer and I cut it down to about 3 7/8, 3 3/4, both together. What was happening is I was cutting it down and I wasn't getting even cards. So that was a little trick I found, and I wanted to share that with you in case you wanted to do it too. I'm using the Pink Fresh Slim Diagonal Dies, the Simon Says Stamp, Large Falling Snow, and Falling Snow for these cards. I took my stencils into my Tim Holtz Splat Media box and sprayed it on the back with a little bit of pixie spray. And after you spray it, you set it aside for a couple of minutes, and it has a really good tack because I didn't want any of this iridescent glimmer glitz to seep through the holes, the following snow. And I probably should have taped it down. But I'm putting it on with my offset spatula. And then I am taking my Stencil Pal and I'm going to scrape off the extra. I love the Stencil Pal. That gives you some really good even coverage. And you just take all that extra and you scrape it into your container. You don't lose any of that. Pop off your stencil. Cleaning my table first because I don't want to get all that stuck to the back. And then you set it aside. And once you get on an assembly line version, you're good. So I did about 3 of these. And then I did 2 of the large ones on the Slimline cards. And then my camera turned off, so now I'm back on. So I took the Greetery Birthday Blooms stamp and die set, and I cut them out, kept them intact, and cut them out on 1 piece of cardstock, and I put the negative space inside my Misty. Then I took the plain die cuts and I popped them into the Misty, and I laid out my stamps, and I stamped it all up. Now, if you want a little more tutorial on that, go check out my other video. It goes in great detail on how I did that. Only my camera shut off for that too, but I was able to recoup it. So I like to back all of my cards with what I call a matte. I used to work at a framing store, so I like that pop of color. And now I'm laying out my cards and my pinwheels. I'm putting this Nuvo Glimmer Glitz, glitter pen on the front of all these pinwheels, just to give it a little glitter. I will link to that up below as well. And I'm cutting up these are Stampin' Up! Foam dimensionals, and I'm just laying out my card, and that is on top of this Simon Says stamp, Falling Snow. I did stamp all of my Greetery birthday sentiments with the same ink that I used to make everything else to matching cardstock. I grabbed this My Favorite Thing snow globe and cut it in half. I know, cutting in half is dangerous, but I wanted the word Christmas and I wanted a small one. So I'm testing it here on a piece of scrap just to make sure I don't totally mess up a card that I've completely finished. I could have put it in my Misty, but I thought live large. And it's off screen, but I'll show you what it looks like in just a sec. And it came out really nice. I really love the tone-on-tone color with the inks as well. So this is one of the Slimline cards that I cut, and I had this really weird looking stuff in my stash, so I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to put that on a card? Now, it's called Snowball Cord. Now, I have no idea if it's going to fit in an envelope. I might have to mail this one in a padded envelope. I didn't think about that when I was doing it. So I wanted to show you how I laid it out. I had them on the right, decided I didn't like that, and so I moved them all to the left, and these are the ones that were the blue and the white, and I put the Glimmer Glitz on the blue part. And then I wanted to add another sentiment on this, and so I use these Pink Fresh. They have amazing sentiments. They're skinny, so they're kind of fiddly, but I do have 3 layers of Season's Greetings on top of a vellum shadow, and now I'm putting the apostrophe and the dot on top of the greetings, and I think it came out really nice. Tiny little dots on the back because your glue, if it squishes out, well, you can see it on the vellum, so you want to make sure that you use tiny little dots. And then I'm gonna had a little bit too much there, so I tapped it with my finger. And I always put something heavy on top of my sentiments just to make sure that they stay put. So I am using, the Greetery has a crimped die. I cut this panel down with the crimped die, and I put a little metallic thread on, just wrapped a whole bunch around it, and I'm gluing it down and I'm holding it in place with those tweezers. I laid out the red ones. I did the red on top of the red and the happy. And then I wanted to say Happy Christmas. I know it's Merry in the United States, but it's Happy in the UK. And I'm making a little handle for this so I can cut this down, otherwise I can't hold it. So I'm lining it up in my Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer, and then I'm pushing down hard, and I have that, I'm holding onto the handle, and it cut it, and then I'm moving that handle to the other side, lining it up. I find it easier to stamp than cut, than try to get the stamp even in the die cut, in the piece of cardstock. So I'm cutting off a little bit of that, and I cut it in half, and for some reason that bow is not sticking, so I'm putting down a little more glue. I've got the Merry Christmas and the red on the red. Love, love that card. So now we're back to another Slimline card. I did the large Falling Snow by Simon Says stamp. I'm laying out my green pinwheels. You see how they look a little gold there? It was kind of interesting how the gold picked up there. So I did the Happy Christmas again. I matted this. I used those Pink Fresh Slimline dies. Laying out some more of my red ones. These do not have any of the glitter on it, but I wanted them to hang off the edge so it, it didn't look like, well, they just didn't look like they were just there. So I cut them off on the edges, and then I used this Simon Says stamp Stained Glass Greetings, which is one of my favorites, and I had a little fail here, and I will show you how to fix it. So I stamped it in the red and cut it out with the matching die cut, stamped Christmas, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to put glossy accents on top? Well, as I'm doing it, I'm realizing it's picking up the color of the Merry and it's turning it pink. So there it is, and I ended up ripping it off, and I'll show you what I did later. How to do a little card surgery. So I also had this white ribbon in my stash. Stampin' Up! Has amazing ribbon if you want ribbon. And again, I'm laying out my die cuts. These are all the glitter on the white and the glitter on the blue and white, and just laying them out and just trying to figure out, well, how do I want them to be? One on top of the ribbon, underneath the ribbon. Design is just about laying it out and seeing what you like. Usually you use odd numbers and you try to space them out so they're not all even and symmetrical. You want it to look like you didn't plan it, even though you did. So this is how I do a knot. I cut a separate piece. I just tie a knot in it. And then it goes the opposite of what you think. So you get yourself a nice, flat, even knot that you can slide up and down on that ribbon if you don't like the location. I find it so much easier than trying to tie a knot. I just glue that behind the card before I put it all together. So I have a piece of vellum here, and it's in my MISTI. I use my anti-static tool to prep it so that get rid of all the stray embossing powder. I love this Brutus Monroe Sterling Ultrafine. It is my absolute favorite. Sprinkling it on there. My heat gun is good and hot. You need to get it good and hot to vellum. I put it on the wrong side. Crazy me. Because you don't want to warp your vellum, and that's what it looks like when it's all done. It is absolutely stunning. Now, I have these clear dimensionals that I don't know where I got them. I'm looking all over for them, and if I can find them, I will definitely let you know. But I love them because they do not show behind vellum, and I wanted to pop that up just a little bit. And we're going to embellish all of these cards in just a second. So the Lawn Fawn Stitched Windy Backdrop is one of my faves. I put it on that blue cardstock, and I changed my mind. As you can see, I grabbed it before it dried because I wanted to do a vellum band. So I grabbed that Mary again, and I embossed it on vellum again with the same Brutus Monroe silver embossing powder. I'm trying to show you how it changes color. It is I just love embossing powder. Anyway, so I'm heat setting that, and then I'm going to stamp Christmas underneath it. And I'm trying to figure out what orientation I want it to be. Horizontal is the way it should have been. For some reason, I was thinking those windy backdrops should go up and down. But I realized that wind goes side to side, so it really should have been a horizontal card, but it came out really nice as a vertical card, and I don't think anyone will know that it's a windy backdrop unless you tell them. So I'm putting this really heavy-duty tape behind the vellum, folding it in half, lining it up. This is how I do my ribbon too, just a little piece behind. I don't wrap it, I just have little edges on it. Putting my Stampin' Dimensionals on top of underneath my die cuts, laying them all out. Just thought I'd overlap one just a little tiny bit. And that's that card before we embellished it. Now here's the one I had to pull off the Mary. So I took the same Mary, but I stamped it in red, and then I stamped it with Versamark, and then I put some Hero Arts glitter embossing powder on top of it. Sparkle. And you can't see it in the camera at all, but it added just a tad little bit of sparkle to the Mary because I wanted something a little bit fun and interesting. I cut it out with the die cut and glued it on over where I ripped it off, and you would never know that I had a boo-boo. And that's where I cut off the pinwheels. I think it looks really good there on the side. So here's just a couple of them laying out. I'm getting out all of my embellishments and trying to figure out what I want to do. And the other cards, I did gems and pearls. I thought I'd use these really cool dots. I have a drawer full of dots. So I'm laying them all out. Again, I try to do like 3 in one area and maybe 1 in another. Just kind of space them out. Again, there's no rule. You can do as many. You can do big, little. It's totally, totally, totally up to you. And then I decided to grab some of these Hero Arts Honeybee Ocean Breeze because they have a really good green color there. And I just put a whole bunch of the little ones all over this card. And I did light green, dark green, 2 different colors. I pick them up with my pokey tool and just lay them down with my finger. But then I have these rhinestones that, I don't know if you know this, but you can color them with Sharpie. Now it's best if you wait a minute or two to let them dry, but I didn't feel like waiting. You color them any color you want with Sharpie. So I decided to put a gem or whatever inside all of my pinwheels. I thought, well, let me just decorate, and they fit just perfectly. I was like so excited. So I'm laying it all in there. I want to color a few more, and there we go. I mean, that look, in my opinion, looks beautiful. So I thought, well, it worked so well with the red, let me color some green ones and put that in there. And then I have these white ones, and these actually fit on top of the pinwheels. And I love that one so much, I did nothing else. And because this looks so gold, I put some gold on top. And I really like the way that one came out as well. So here are the cards. This is the windy backdrop with the vellum band and the glitz on top of the blue. Love that one. This one I put the glitter on top of the pinwheel. Has a snowy backdrop. This is with the Concord & 9th Evergreen ink. This is the Concord & 9th Cranberry, the red on top of the red. This was the Boo Boo. I fixed it. It's very shiny. You really can't see it. Just catches the light just perfect. I mean, it's just really cool in real life. My favorite are these two Slimlines. Oh my gosh. Well, I love the green one. I think it came out really good. But I love the two blue and white Slimlines. Like, amazing. Love them. If I had to do it again, the Season's Greetings would be a little bit more green in color. The pinwheels changed the color a little bit. But they both have the snowy backdrop. They have a little bit of ribbon. And they have some pearls and some gems in there. And those are the Pinwheel Party meets Christmas. So give them a try. They're easy, and I think you'd really like making them. Enjoy.